Hi everyone, I just wanted to pop on really quick to share some of my makes with you. I have been really busy creating some projects for CraftStash for their new card baking magic easel sets, and I didn't have enough time to film tutorials for them. So I am going to share them with you now so that you can see some of the ideas of what you can make and you can kind of see them a bit more in 3D. So this set was loads of fun. I think I'm going to make a bunch of Christmas cards to give family and friends this year using these. There are a few different ones in the set, or in the collection. There's about 5 different ones. So there's this circle baubles one, and you get all the dies that are in here, so you get like little label dies. The idea is you can make an easel card with it, and then you got the bauble, like decorative top, and snowflakes and some stars, so really cool. I'm going to kind of rush through them a bit quick because I don't really want to bore you too much. I'll link all this down below so you can check it out if you are interested and want to have a look yourself. I do have links for CraftStash in the UK as well as CraftStash in the US, so make sure you click the right ones. We've got this bell set here, and then I'm trying not to catch my light, sorry. This is a triple easel card, and I've done just one single easel on it, but you can check out the website and see a whole bunch of different samples for the triple easel, which I will do at some point. And then we got this Hexagon Bauble Set, 15-piece set, and cute little deer in there. The thing I love about them is they all come with that little top bit, so you can make tags out of these, and I'll share with you some of the tags I made. And then we've got this one here, which is the traditional bauble set. Now, along with these dies, there are also coordinating stamp sets that go with them. I think it's just the 2, but I'm a bit unprepared. So there are these 2 here where you've got occasion verses and Christmas verses, and these are photopolymer stamp sets, so they are really good quality and they stamp really clear and really nice. So let me get started and share with you what I made. So first up, I'm going to share with you the bauble cards. So this is meant to be an easel card. I'm starting with the one that I didn't make into an easel, but I wanted to share how you could just make a really cute Christmas card. And this was just cutting the circle out, and then they've got that beautiful decorative top die. And again, I backed this foil cardstock with my double-sided adhesive, and all I did was peeled it off and stuck it straight on, and it worked a treat. Now all of my top bits are doubled, so each one of these is doubled. It's got one on the back and the front, which then makes it so my adhesive isn't sticky, and then I didn't have to worry about adhesive getting outside behind this. And so again, I used my double-sided sticky sheets on there to make that, and then I added some Nuvo drops, and I used my pearlescent cardstock from Alina Craft, and I'm in love with this silver textured card, which is a Tonic Nuvo or Tonic Studios silver card. I'll link all this down below. I do love getting my cardstock from Alina Craft. They are my favourite cardstock brand, and I buy everything from there. They're really reasonable and really good. Obviously the silver and the foil card I've got from the coloured card or foil is from Hobbycraft, and then the silver foil is from CraftStash, but you can also get it on Tonic's website. And then I've done this one here, which I've just done with the tags loose, so you can see the beautiful pattern. It can kind of flow to the side. All of my tulle is from Alina's shop, so I can link that down below as well. And again, it's just a really fun little set of 3 cards, and these took me no time at all with my sticky tape on it, my double-sided sticky tape. So really fun, really, like, these are just really basic cards that you can make with that set, and then you can go to town and do the easels if you wanted. Then I made a tag, and of course I had to make a shaker tag. So I've got that silver card in the back again, and my Hobbycraft coloured foil, some of the tulle, and then a bit of white twine, and then I just did to and from with a stamp set from my stash. And again, I did the front and the back with the same topper on it, and then I also stuck some grey foam. So I cut it out of grey fun foam just to make sure that it wasn't squashed at the top, and then it keeps that dimension. So that was my fun little cute tag. Then I did this bell one. So it's a bit hard to see. I've stamped the sentiment in its side, which says "From our home to yours at this special time." And then I did "Sent with love," and the idea is you would then pop it up on some foam under there, and you can pop it up and it's a little pop-up card. Now the background paper here that I've used is from the same range. It's their Christmas version of paper. So I've used some of that and just die cut it out and stick it on there. And then on the back is where you could write your message to your recipient. And I die cut out some of these and stuck them on as well. And I didn't put on the little tag top bit, but I do like how it turned out. And of course I had to make it a shaker, which I love. Then this is my last one to share with you today. This was the triple easel card, and I just did it as a single, and it just pops up like that, and it's really quite sweet. I love shaker cards. And then I just did a little birthday card instead of a Christmas one, and used the birthday stamps out. Here's hoping your birthday is full of delightful surprises. So again, when that pops up, you can have your little message there, which the person can see, which is really nice. And for this card, I'm going to use this die set, the stamp set that kind of goes with it, which is the Christmas Verses stamp set. Then I've also got some double-sided adhesive sheets from Dot and Dab. I've got some of this really cool cardstock. It's hard to catch without getting my light in it. And it's really textured. It's a metallic foil, silver foil textured card. And the thing I love about it, this is from Tonic Studios by the way, but the thing I love about it is it does not warp at all or lose that texture in any way by going through the Big Shot. So that is really exciting. It's really good quality cardstock. I got this for about £2 for a pack of 5 sheets, which is a bit pricey, but I have used it loads and gotten loads of life and use out of it. I'm also going to use a couple sheets of glitter cardstock and of different colors, and then also some dark blue cardstock. I've also got the embossing folder as well from Card Making Magic. And let me just share with you the simple card I've made already. So this is my card that I made first when I was just having a play with the die set. So all I did is I've used that foil card that I was just sharing with you, and I put some double-sided adhesive on the back of it and ran it through. And I've used some pattern paper underneath. I've got the holly leaves and the holly berries. And then I stuck the little tag closure on the top, and I did it double-sided so you could actually hang it if you wanted to. But the way this works is that it then pops up like that and just sticks underneath the little dimension that you can kind of put on, the little label, sorry. So that's a very sort of basic version. It's just literally sticking it all together and putting a little stamp on, and then obviously you can write your message on the back of the card there. So I thought when I was making this, I wanted to do a stepped up version, and I thought it would be fun to do some die cut inlay. So that's what we're going to do on this card. So in your pack you get a few dies. The main ones that we're going to need to start with is your card base die, which is this one here, which has got a bauble and a half essentially. Then we're also going to need our large one and our slightly smaller one, as well as our intricate one. Now this intricate one does not cut the outside edge, it only cuts the inside bit. So what you do is you use these two together like so. So I've gone ahead and cut out my shapes. So I've got the dark blue one here. Then I've cut the top bit for our easel card, which is in the larger the dies. I cut it again in white so that we've got somewhere to write our message when we want to come to that. And then I've cut the slightly smaller one to be our base for our die cut inlay. So I've done those. Then to kind of step it up and make it a bit more fun, I thought we could go ahead and emboss them using our embossing plate here. So it's A5, which is great because our card is just shy of A5 in length. So what I do is I line this right up at the very top and then kind of line that bottom point up with where the pattern is that I like on the bottom of the embossing folder. Now these embossing folders I found are quite thick. So When I went to run it through, it took me a couple seconds to work out what sandwich I needed for my Big Shot. So I have a Big Shot die cutting machine. And this, on my Big Shot die cutting platform, the instructions for it had said that all you needed to do was to take out that sort of extra one and then just have your base plate and the 2 cutting plates. Now this wouldn't work, it would not go through my machine. So that because this one's quite thick, it's not a 3D embossing folder from what I could work out, but it is a thicker embossing folder. So the sandwich I used to run it through was just my extra plate on top of that and my top plate. And then I put this in between. So I didn't use both cutting plates, I only used the slightly raised bit and this one. So you can work out how it's going to work. It will not go through your machine if it's too thick, and it should glide through nice and easy if you've got the right sandwich. So I'm going to run these through my Big Shot. I'm also going to run the bigger of the 2 that we've die cut. So that's the smaller one. I'm going to run this one through as well. Okay, here's our end result where we've got our embossed pattern on it. You can see it's quite a nice pattern to that cardstock. Now what is also helpful to do before you run it through your embossing machine is to fold those crease lines. If you fold those before you run it through, it's easier to see them when it comes out the other end. I made that mistake on my first one. I couldn't work out where my score lines were when I was having a low play. So fold them before you run it through, and then of course you lie it flat in your embossing folder, and then it's just much easier to work out where those folds are. I've got those 2 pieces and we'll stick them together in a second. Then I've also die cut out my slightly smaller one. There's our big one to go on the back of our card for our writing. So that's going to go on the back there so that we can write our message. This one here is going to be our top panel, so that's going to go on the top, and I've purely cut this out of blue just so that from the side it kind of matches. So the next thing we want to do is add our adhesive sheets to our 3 types of foil card or glitter card. And then what I did was I taped these 2 together using some post-it note tape from AliExpress, and I just kind of stuck them together. So what you want to do is just line them up so you have a nice even border around all of the edges. And then I just took my post-it note tape, this is from AliExpress, and I just stuck them together using some of that. And then I ran it through my Big Shot with my adhesive sheets on the back of my cardstock, and I ran it through twice. So I ran it through forward and then backwards. Then what I did was when my die cut came out, I stuck some really strong sort of washi tape on the back, because you've obviously got this release paper from the double-sided adhesive. You want something that's quite strong that's going to stick to it. So I stuck that on the back there to hold those die cuts in. So when I peeled off the top, those are still all in there. And now this is non-shed glitter cardstock, so it kind of sticks in anyways, which is a bonus. So I've got my dark teal, I've got my light kind of blue, and then I've got my outline, which I've done, and I've just stuck the tape on the backs of all of them to kind of hold them in. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble our card base first. So we'll get all those extra pieces out of the way. Now you've got this little flap here. This is the only bit you're going to put adhesive on, okay? Just that one flap bit there. So we're going to fold it, lay it flat down. And we're going to get our super strong tape or liquid glue, whatever you'd like to use. I've got this stuff here. I'm going to stick some of this down. Now, because we've run it through the embossing folder, it has a tendency to be a bit, the cardstock is a bit more sort of flexible and softened. So we want to line it up so that it looks even on all the edges, because obviously this one is slightly smaller. And this one here, we're going to kind of line up with those edges, and so that we get a nice central kind of top bit. So we don't want the sides to be poking out at all. We want to kind of line up these sides here that curve with the curves on our top, And then once we are fairly confident that we've got it nice and central, we can then push it down and flatten it onto that bit of tape that we made. And now we've got our easel card where it pops up like so. So that's our base. I'm going to go ahead, because this is a bit flimsy from our embossing, I'm going to add my backing on there for our writing. Now I like to do my edges of my cardstock so that it kind of all blends together. So I will ink up those edges as well, and then I will stick that one down on there. Okay, for adhering this down, I'm going to use my Tonic liquid glue, my deluxe adhesive, just so I've got a bit of wiggle room. Words are coming out all backwards today. I'm going to get my placement correctly, and the glue allows me to kind of shift it around a bit more, and hopefully that adhesive will sit into those grooves from the embossing folder a bit better as well. So I've got the glue on the back of there. And then again, I'm just going to aim for the center and then press it down. There we go. That's on there. Now, we'll stick this one down, but I think it would be wise to do our die cut inlay first before we go and stick it on there. So we've got our outline here, which mine went a little bit skew in the die cutting machine, but it should still look alright when we put it all together. It's a bit thin there and a bit thicker on that side. So I think it went a little bit wonky when I put it in. Now the trick is going to be trying to get this top bit off without getting all these little diamonds out. It doesn't matter too much about these diamonds because we're not going to actually use them on this card, but I'd like to try and save them to use them on another card at another point in time. So I'm trying to kind of get those to stay. Okay, so I've pulled that off. Now the nice thing about using the double-sided sticky sheets is that often it doesn't cut through the release paper, which actually makes it a lot easier for doing something like this where you can pull off the outside edge. So I'm going to line this up. We know that this one is exactly the same size as this one because this is just the one without the inside of it. So I'm going to line it up, and before I press it down firmly, I'm going to try and make sure I get all my sides even and level in it. And you do have to be a bit mindful because sometimes, depending on what kind of cardstock you use, your metallic cardstock could stretch slightly in your machine. So that's gone down perfectly on there, and that fits that top. Now obviously we're not going to see any of this blue because we're going to cover it up with our die cut inlay, but from the side that blue kind of goes with our card. So now it's just a case of pulling these out and sticking them in there. To do that, I'm going to get a pokey tool which helps with pulling them out. I'm just going to pop them up, and then this one has cut through the die release paper, so I'm just going to pull that backing off of there. And then it is just literally popping them all into here. So again, I'm going to just try and take one of these out. And sometimes it doesn't want to cut through all this non-shed glitter very well, so it can be a bit of a pain. And I'm just going to speed this up so you don't get too bored watching me do this die cut inlay. I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to try and see if I can get these out and put the turquoise ones there. I often do this, make a little boo-boo. Just peel that off, and we're just going to stick in the teal ones in these spots. Okay, so we have that finished. How fun does that look? Okay, so our next step, we're going to adhere this one onto our card base. And again, I'm going to use liquid glue, so I've got a little bit of wiggle time to get that centralized. I'm just going to turn it on a funny angle just so I can see a little bit better. Ooh, we're going a little bit wonky here. Thank goodness for liquid glue. Right, now I'm just going to push that down. I'm just loving this. I'm loving this front. Stunning. So I was thinking that this front kind of needed something. I felt like it could go with some words on the front. So in my little collection, I have also got this set here, which comes with Merry Christmas inside. So I thought I would die cut that Merry Christmas out. So I ran it through 3 times and I stuck this sticky back adhesive on the back of it just so I could stack it and layer it up a bit easier and a bit quicker. So I'm going to go and stick those 3 all together and then we'll be able to pop that on our card. Okay, and once I'm pleased with that, I'm just going to give them a firm press down to make sure that they're sticking nicely. And this again is just that really cheap dot and dab or daub and dap and I don't know what it's called. They're double-sided sticky sheets and so they work perfect. There we go, there's our little sentiment and it actually stuck together really nicely. Next we need to, I think we're going to add our little embellishment on the top. So the set comes with this little die and I have die cut it twice out of the same silver foil, so I'm just going to attach that onto the top. And I'm going to aim for the top edge with the top edge of this one here, so you can see that a bit better from the back. And I'm going to stick this one straight over top of the other one to cover up that adhesive and make it a bit stronger. So make sure they're lined up. And then I'm just going to squish them together nice and tight. And then we've got a nice strong little top that we can add some twine through. And now let's think about our inside of our card on here, because we need to add in our little pop-up feature to make the easel card stand up. Now for this inside element, the die set does come with these 2 really pretty little label dies, and they fit really nice on there. So I thought we could die cut out the larger one in the same silver as we did before. And then we can stamp our sentiment and die cut it out. I've got a bit of scrap paper here. So how I go about figuring out which ones I want to put on is I take my stamp set, which is this one here, which is Christmas Verses. And I kind of just have a look with my die and just kind of work out which one would fit into that one. And I think I'm going to go with From Our Home to Yours at this special time, because I've already put Merry Christmas on the front, so that kind of leads on with that. So I'm going to take that same ink pad I did my ink blending with, and I'll get a clear block and just stick that on. And I'm going to kind of stamp it a bit away from the edges, and then that way I can run that through. I can line it up and run it through. So now I'll line that up on there. Take a little bit of my post-it note tape. So I've got this really cute little sentiment, and what we're going to do is we're going to pop it on top of the slightly larger one that I've die cut out and stick that on the center there. And again, I think I'm just going to dust my edges with a bit of blue just to kind of help blend it all together. And this is just a makeup sponge from the pound shop. You can get them at the dollar store. Just a really cheap makeup sponge. I do try and keep them all and then wash them and use them again because I can never remember what color they belong with, and I don't have enough extra storage space to store them all into separate colors, so I just occasionally wash them and then put them back in my drawer to use again. And again, I'll use some of my glue to adhere that on. I'll just give that a second to dry because it is on a foil card rather than a normal bit of card, so it'll just take a few minutes longer to dry. And the next thing we need to think about is that when you make it a pop-up card, this obviously has to be popped up in order for the card to have something to hook on. Now on my last card, you can kind of see it poking out there in the bottom. So we're going to avoid that this time, and we're going to put it up a bit higher so that it gets tucked nice and neat underneath there. So I'm going to aim for about there this time. So the top of these triangles is how I'll remember it. I'm just going to take some foam squares and apply those onto the back. Now you could use foam tape if you want. I just have a lot of foam squares and stickers and things to use up. So I'm trying to make the most of those and use those up. I've also got a decent amount of foam tape as well, actually. But I have a lot more of these foam sticky sheets that I keep finding everywhere I look. Okay, so we're aiming for the top of these diamonds this time to keep that nice and hidden. And then I'll use that pattern to kind of help guide me to keep it straight. So now that is popped up, so we can put our card on and it just tucks in there. And you can't see it as nicely as I can, but it looks like that. How fun is that? And that's our little pop-up card. Now I just want to add some thread up there. I've got this lovely little twine thing that I picked up from the range, so we'll just use a bit of that twine. And that's our finished card, and we've got our little space for our sentiment on the back, and it's really fun and it pops up and stands up. So now that that card is complete, I also went ahead and I made a little matching tag to go with it. So this tag, I just used a stamp from my stash, which kind of went with the sentiment we used on this one. I just wanted something big and bold to kind of overtake these trees, otherwise I would have used the same stamp that we had in there. I then did the same thing with that little die cut and my sticky back and did that. And then I stuck a white one on the back and used a tuna from my stash. So now we've got a card to go with a Christmas gift and a matching tag to go along with it as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you feel inspired. All the links to everything I've shown today should be in the description box. Please let me know if they're not there. I would love you to subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. So take care and see you soon. Bye!